Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So, thank you for joining me today for another exciting video. So, in this video, I'll be taking a look at the 10th topic of the JAMB syllabus, which is excretion. And of course, we'll continue to use our textbook, which is the explicit biology, to treat this topic. I'll quickly look at brief discussion on the topic, then we'll spend the remaining time on questions and answers. Let's go. So, in this topic, we were going to be looking at the types of excretory structures. We're going to look at the excretory mechanism and, of course, excretory products of plants and animals. To begin with, what is excretion? It is the elimination of waste products of metabolism from the cells. Of course, the key word here is metabolism. So, metabolism is the sum total of chemical activities in the cell. It involves anabolism, which is the buildup of simple molecules into large molecules. For example, the process of photosynthesis. And also catabolism, which is where complex molecules are broken down into smaller, simpler ones. For example, respiration. Now, the excretory organelles or organs of excretion in animals, they vary from one animal to the other. For example, in the protozoa, their excretory organ is the contractile vacuole. In the flatworm, it is the flame cell. In the roundworm, they have what you call nephridia. In insects, it is called the Malpighian tubules. In fishes, they make use of the gills. And in vertebrate, land vertebrate, usually make use of the kidney as the main excretory organ, and as corollary, you have the skin, the lung, the liver, and the large intestine. Okay, this might be controversial, the large intestine role as an excretory structure, but we'll look at that in the question and answer section. So for now, let's begin with the excretory mechanism in humans. And like I mentioned earlier, that the kidney is the main excretory organs in humans. And the process of urine formation is the main excretory mechanism in humans. Because for urine to be formed, actually, there is a lot of reabsorption of nutrients and secretion of other waste products from the blood into the urinary tubules, which I'm going to discuss very soon. So what makes up the urinary system in humans is the kidney, the ureter, the bladder, and of course the urethra. So this is what that looks like. If you take a gross look at the position of the kidney in the body, this entire structure forms the urinary system. So you have the kidney here. You have, of course, blood vessels that carries blood in and away from the kidney. And this that goes down here is your ureter. And this temporal storage is the bladder or urinary bladder. And the urine is released through the urethra, all right, as waste or as urine. So having said that, there is a very key structure within the kidney which plays the role of the functional unit of the kidney, and that structure is called the nephron. So the nephron consists of a cup-shaped capsule, which is called the Bowman capsule. It contains capillaries, and of course, it also have the glomerulus, which is another component of the nephron, and it has the renal tubules. So let me show you a clearer diagram. If you take a look at the longitudinal section of the kidney, which you have down here to my left, the kidney, this longitudinal structure has an outer part which is called the cortex and the inner part which is called the medulla. This entire tubular structure is what forms the nephron. And there are lots of them in the kidney. So the glomerulus is a featuring structure. Is a capillary structure. It has blood move. I mean, when blood moves into the kidney through the renal artery, it narrows down into the capillaries, this glomerular capillary, and the blood is coming at high pressure. With that, the blood gets filtered into the Bowman's capsule and continues its journey down the proximal convoluted tubule. It goes down into this part called the loop of Henle, and then it goes up again through the distal convoluted tubule, and then it ends into the collecting tubules. So then, what happened in the process of urine formation? Let me quickly explain that. In the process of urine formation, the key component of the nephron is this one, the glomerulus, all right, which is meant for the filtration of water and solute from the blood. And then that goes into the Bowman's capsule, which is just acting as a sieve. And from the Bowman capsule, you have the tubule. So you have here the proximal convoluted tubule. So tubular reabsorption of water and conserved molecules usually occur as the fluid moves down this tubule. There is reabsorption of nutrient, important molecules that are still needed by the body. And of course, something else happens as well, which is called the tubular secretion of ions and other waste products from the surrounding capillaries back into this tubule as it moves into the distal convoluted tubule. So the nephron filters about 125 mils of water, of body fluid per minute. And that means in a day, it will filter about 16 times. So in 24 hours period, the nephron produces about 180 liters of filtrate, of which 178.5 are reabsorbed back into the body. The remaining 1.5 liters is what forms the urine that goes into the collecting duct and into the ureter. So this is how urine production occurs. You have the filtration in the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. Then you have the reabsorption in the proximal convoluted tubule, and you have tubular secretion in the loop of Henle, and of course in the distal convoluted tubule. So I haven't mentioned that. Let us then go back to talk about the general function of the kidney. So the kidney perform a number of homeostatic functions, and that include the maintenance of extracellular fluid, the maintenance of ionic balance in extracellular fluid, of course the maintenance of pH and osmotic concentration of the extracellular fluid, and also excretes toxic metabolic byproducts such as urea, ammonia, and uric acid. So that is how urine formation occurs in humans. Let us now go on to talk about other organisms, such as in insects. The excretory system in insects is the Mapigian tubules. So this is what that looks like. It is very connected to the gut, and it plays a vital role in absorbing important ions back into the body and releasing nitrogenous waste out of the gut, of course, out of the entire body of the organism. Similarly, if you look at the flatworm, the simplest excretory system is the flame cell. Okay, and this is what that looks like. So without going into further details, it plays a vital role also in carrying out excretion. Then a quick mention would be the excretory system in the earthworm. They make use of the nephridia. This is what that looks like. It's important to be able to identify and probably label these different structures in these organisms. So the nephridium is the excretory system in the earthworm. And finally, we'll talk about excretion in plant. A quick mention is that plants excrete water, oxygen, carbon dioxide by simple diffusion through the stomata and the lenticels, while solid waste such as tannin, mucilage, gum, alkaloid, etc. are stored at the back of the stem or the leaves, which are eliminated through the peeling and leaf fall, respectively. So we have come to the end of the notes. Then let's consider questions and answers. We'll be faced with the very first question, which is, I would also say it's a bit controversial question. So our first question is taken from UME 1978, question number 16. So the question says, which of the following is not an excretory organ? Which of the following is not an excretory organ? So you have lungs, the kidney, the liver, the large intestine, and the skin. So lung, kidney, liver, large intestine, and the skin. How do you eliminate to begin with? If you're going to begin by elimination, the kidney is a vital excretory structure, so that is an answer. I mean, that is so that is eliminated. It cannot be ignored. You have the skin, you have the lungs. I mentioned in my note that the large intestine is an excretory organ, but what I didn't mention is the liver. But now, this is the rationale. The question is a bit controversial, like I mentioned. The large intestine is an important part of the digestive system, right? And it's the final organ in the gastrointestinal tract. So as an organ of excretion, its main function is to eliminate solid waste that remain after the digestion of food and the extraction of water from indigestible matter in food waste. The large intestine also collects waste from throughout the body and bile that is secreted into the gastrointestinal tract. For example, it contains waste products such as bilirubin from the liver. Bilirubin is a brown pigment that gives human feces its characteristics brown color. So in that regard, the large intestine would be seen as a vital excretory organ, particularly of iron, which is the key component in the bilirubin. Now, but for plants, the question is a bit tricky. Unlike animals, plants do not have specialized organs for excretion. So instead, they have different mechanisms by which potentially harmful waste products are either recycled or excreted. So if you are looking at that rationale, the liver would not be an excretory organ. That is not to say that carbon dioxide and water vapor do not escape through the skin, but that would be through the stomata and the lenticel, stomata in the leaves and lenticel on the stem. So if you critically then look at those explanations I've given, the answer to the question will be liver, which would not be considered as an excretory organ. Another question here is the excretion organ in insects, of course, is the Malpighian tubule. The flame cells are the excretory organs in where? In the flatworm excretory system, that's D. Another question, which of the following group of animal is the marsupial tubu found? Very good. So we are looking at insects. So you just find which of the options has insects throughout. So if you have option A, you have lizard, that cancels out the option. Option B, you have cricket, houseflies, grasshopper. All these are insects. This will be the right answer. If you consider option C, millipede is not an insect, centipede, these are not insects, then that cancels it out as well. If you look at option D, earthworm, roundworm, flatworm, these are not the right option. So the answer is option B. Similarly, nephridium is used as an excretory structure in the earthworm. Which of them is the earthworm in this case? So you have crustacean, you have annelid, you have platyhelminth, you have the solenterate. So what's the answer to that question? Is it any tricky? So the answer will be B, which is the earthworm, annelid. That's the group where the earthworm belongs to. The answer will be B. All right. So you can see the tricky way that these questions can be asked. Apart from the organism, they can just throw the group at you. So you should be able to identify that. So let me take a final question, maybe two more questions, then we would end this section. Question number 9, 1988, question 4. Question 24. In the kidney, the marsupial capsule is located in the dash, medulla, cortex, ileum, and pelvis. Okay, remember I mentioned this answer while I was teaching earlier. So the marsupial capsule, which is the cortex, is found in the cortex, right? We have the cortex and we have the medulla. So we have all of this in the cortex, and we have the remaining part here in the medulla. So the answer to that question is C. Question number 10. The part label 1 and 2 makes up the, very good. So where is 1? This is 1. This is the glomerulus. 2 is the Bowman's capsule. And the part label 1 and 2 makes up the Malpighian. So the Malpighian body or the Malpighian capsule is the combination of the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. All right. So the answer there would be C. Another question, in mammals, reabsorption of salt takes place where? Okay, in the same diagram, right? The reabsorption of salt. So like I mentioned that there is reabsorption as you move down, and there is secretion again as you move up in the loop of Henle and the distal convoluted tubule. Reabsorption takes place in the proximal convoluted tubule. So the diagram, the answer here will be A, which represent the proximal convoluted tubule. The question says, question number 12, it says mammals are capable of producing hypertonic urine mainly because reabsorption in the loop of Henle will be the right answer to this question. So the segments of the loop of Henle are responsible for countercurrent multiplication, which is essential for the concentration and dilution of urine. So you have 25% of sodium ion is reabsorbed, 3% is reabsorbed in the collecting duct. So other options does not make any sense. The Bowman capsule, that is where filtration occurs. Ureter has nothing to do with concentration of urine. So does the ureter. So the right answer here will be D. Finally, the correct sequence of the movement of urea during urine formation is, how does that happen now? So you have the glomerulus to the Bowman capsule to the convoluted tubu, to the loop of Henle, to the collecting dot? I think the answer is just very clear from A. But let's look at other options. Glomerulus, Bowman capsule, convoluted tubu, loop of Henle, convoluted tubu, collecting dot. Okay, very good. So now this is bringing in another part. A will not be the right answer anymore. So now let's go to C. Convoluted tubu is wrong. It won't start with convoluted tubu. It will start with the glomerulus. So, and D, convoluted tubu, this will be wrong. So our answer is between A and B. Now, if you look critically, you will see glomerulus, Bowman capsule, you have the proximal convoluted tubu, you have the loop of Henle, there you have the distal convoluted tubu, and you have the collecting dot. So B is more appropriate, and that is the answer. So on that note, I want to thank you for joining me in this video, and I hope that you can comment, you can like and share, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.